What is going on, YouTube? Andrew Miller from hook'emheadlines.com coming back at y'all today with my post-game reaction, analysis, thoughts as Texas pulls out a really, really big and convincing 75-59 win over number 3 Kansas. Texas is able to close out the regular season with a record of 23-8, 12-6 in the Big 12. Rodney Terry finishes up the regular season as the interim head coach with a record of 16-7. He was able to, as much criticism as he took in the last, let's say, 3-4 games, I really have to commend him for, getting this team in the right place to be able to come out with a convincing double-digit win over Kansas. Really find a game that can serve as a turning point heading into the postseason. Give this team really something to feel good about. But this team's going to have another tough test right away. The Big 12 tournament's coming up next week. Texas is able to lock in the 2 seed. There was a chance that they could end up with the 3 or the 4 seed, depending on what happened with Kansas State and Baylor today. But both the Bears and the Wildcats lose. And so Texas is able to solidify the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. More than likely with 1 win in the Big 12. I think the mark is 1 win for Texas to be able to legitimize itself as a 2 seed for the NCAA tournament. A few other notes that I have coming out of this game. Texas with the win today moves up to number 8 in the Ken Palm adjusted efficiency rankings. They jump over Kansas and Gonzaga. They're also ahead of Arizona. That's huge. Ken Palm is something that can serve as a good measuring stick to understand where you sit in the grand scheme of things heading into the postseason. And so, can't say enough about the importance of this win today. A couple other things here. Again, I mentioned, how big it was to have the home court advantage that was the Moody Center. The Moody Center really served as, I think, one of the best home court advantages in all of college basketball. Texas finishes up 6-0 in ranked games at the Moody Center this season, and only, I think I mentioned this earlier, but only 1 loss at the Moody Center in general, which was a forgettable Big 12 home opener against Kansas State back in January. But yeah, let me get into some of my other notes, takeaways, things like that coming out of this game. I always do my studs and duds article over at the site after every game. I'll link that up in the description below, as always. But I can't go talking about this game without mentioning another awesome performance from senior wing, Sir'Jabari Rice. He was awesome this season. It's sad to see him play his last game at the Moody Center. Went by in a flash. He was awesome. I posted a tweet about an hour ago that said that he was the only Big 12 reserve player this season to have 4 games with at least 20 points coming off the bench in conference play. I know that's a lot packed into one nugget there, but that really shows that at any time he was a major spark off the bench. Texas in this game outscores Kansas's bench 32-8, which was a complete swing in that regard compared to the first time these two teams met this season. Kansas has probably has the worst bench in the Big 12. Kansas is the only bench in conference play that's scoring in the single digits. And so, losing the bench scoring battle the first time these two teams met was one of the biggest reasons why Texas ultimately came out of Allen Fieldhouse with a loss. And one of the biggest reasons why Texas came out with a double-digit win today was the play of guys like Sir'Jabari Rice, like Christian Bishop. Rice puts up 23 points, 9 of 14 shooting from the field, 2 of 6 from deep, and then a perfect 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He also helped Texas win the rebounding battle in this one. If you watch the TCU game, one of the biggest reasons why Texas lost that game was they were just dominated on the glass. I believe they lost the rebounding battle by a margin of 18. Obviously, that's never going to be a winning formula, but Rice actually comes up with a team high 7 rebounds. He grabbed a lot of huge boards. He was huge in cleaning up some rebounds, boxing out as well. Not an area that he is usually accustomed to contributing a whole lot, but Again, came through in an area where Texas needed it in this one. 2 assists, 1 block, and just 1 turnover. So all around efficient in this one. Last thing I'll say on Serge Barry Rice, also posted something else on the site. He finished up the last 10 games of the regular season, averaging 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. 50% shooting from the field, almost 46% from 3, and almost 5 clutch points per game. The clutch points per game led all Big 12 reserves in the last 10 games of the season. I can't say enough about the way that he was able to finish out this season. He was efficient, ultra productive in so many areas. And again, may I reiterate that he did all this as a reserve player. Just absolutely insane. Definitely deserving of the Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year award. And all Big 12 first or second team honors should be in the immediate future for him. Another stud from this game, I want to give some shouts to Tyrese Hunter. Hunter has really come alive in the last 3 or 4 games. Again, something else I posted on the site. He, for the first time this season, scored at least a dozen points in 4 consecutive games. Most of the games most of the Big 12 games that he played in this year, he was scoring in single digits, I do believe. And we talked about it for a long time that he just wasn't able to find his game. He was cold on offense, didn't always look focused on defense. In the last 4 games, he has looked super locked in on both ends of the floor. Whatever way he needs to get it done, in terms of providing scoring or secondary scoring, and really providing some really disruptive perimeter defense, he's been able to do. In this game, scored 20 points. While he was only 4 of 10 shooting from the field, shot around 43% from deep, and was 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Had 10 of Texas's 23 free throw attempts. So really got a lot of his production from the charity stripe. But whatever way you can get it done, I am all for. He also had 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 turnovers. So again, one of the better games we've seen from Tyrese Hunter this season. Provided sparks at different times in this game when Kansas was starting to close back in on Texas. You have to give him props. If this is the version of Tyrese Hunter that we're getting in the postseason, that's going to be massive for Texas to be able to have another scoring threat in the backcourt along with Marcus Carr, Serge Barry Rice. The impact that can have on this team is huge. I wanted to also mention Marcus Carr. Another kind of dud of a game offensively, I guess if I can put it simply. He finishes up with just 6 points on 2 of 9 shooting from the field, misses on all 5 of his attempts from beyond the arc. Gets 2 of 3 from the free throw line. Carr in the last 3 games has struggled. He shot no better than 30% from the field on at least 9 attempts, or at least 8 attempts in every game in each of the last 3 outings. He's had some scoring droughts, some cold stretches lately, and this is another one. But we saw him at times down the stretch last season that he was cold shooting from the field and from deep. But during the postseason, he was huge. He was averaging, I think it was north of 20 points per game in the NCAA tournament last year for Texas. So, he's a veteran. He's had some cold stretches before in the last 2 seasons, and he's bounced back from them pretty quick. Another piece of good news in terms of his performance in this game, while he was pretty cold shooting from the field, he was able to find other ways to contribute, came up with a team-high 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 rebounds, and didn't turn the ball over a single time. So even though he couldn't find his shot, he was still contributing in other ways in a positive sense. Especially if Texas is finding other ways to score, other sources of scoring, whether it's a guy like Tyrese Hunter, Serge Barry Rice, Timmy Allen, Dylan Disu, whoever it is, it allows Carr to be able to take a back seat and really just facilitate the offense and be really disruptive on the perimeter on defense. And so, again, for this game, he still did what needed to be done. It just was unfortunate to see him have another off night offensively. A few other notes in terms of, good performances from this one. I thought Dylan Dessou was really good. Was limited to only 11 minutes because he got in some early foul trouble, but he's really found his shot lately. 9 points, 4 or 5 shooting from the field, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, no turnovers. While he was on the floor, was pretty good on defense. Ran the floor really well in transition too. That's always been one of his biggest biggest positives or benefactors is his ability to run in transition. Considering he's a big man. And you really saw that in this game. I believe around half of his points, I think it was 4 points, were in transition, and the 1 assist was as well. I need to look back to confirm that, but Dessou was really good at different points in the last 2 or 3 games. He had that 24-point outburst against Baylor. Again, was solid on this or in this game. All told, really happy with the way Dessou is contributing right now. I also wanted to give a shout to Dylan Mitchell. He's not contributing a ton offensively, but 6 rebounds, 1 block. He did have 2 points, 1 of 1 from the field. But Dylan Mitchell, his length, his rebounding ability, and his rim protection provide something that Texas doesn't have from really anyone else in this lineup. And so I was a proponent for him to get more minutes than he did against TCU. I thought that TCU's length bothered Texas a lot, and that Texas wasn't matching up very well on the defensive end of the floor. And, I think Mitchell would have helped stymie that a little bit and, help Texas really get going on the right, or really, really find their game. But, in this game at least was a little bit more of a factor. Again, was big on the boards, helped Texas win the rebounding battle. I'll mention that a lot. But, all around, this was a huge game for the Longhorns. Holding Kansas under 60 points. Find the last time that happened. I had that number pulled earlier, but this is a Kansas offense that has been electric lately. This is the first time, let's see here, since February 4th against Iowa State that Kansas was held under 60 points. And they lost that game as well. And so it goes without saying that level of, the Texas's defensive tenacity in this one, made a huge difference. Got Kansas all out of sorts. Kansas's best players, Jalen Wilson, 23 points, but he came on 18 field goal attempts. He also only had 1 assist. Main thing was holding Grady Dick and DeJuan Harris to a combined 4 of 17 shooting from the field. And just 11 points. Those are 2 of their most productive players. All around, I got to give Texas a lot of credit on both ends of the floor. If I'm looking forward here, the next thing to look forward to for Texas will be the Big 12 tournament, which begins, I believe it's March 8th. I will check to confirm that. But, Texas, again, mentioned it earlier, will be heading into the Big 12 tournament as a 2 seed. So March 8th is the first day of the Big 12 tournament. Texas will play Thursday, March 9th at 6 p.m. Since they are the 2 seed. They will face the winner of Game 2 from the first round. So they will face the winner of the 7 versus 10 seed game. A lot to look forward to here in the next few days to see who Texas ends up getting matched up with in the first game of the Big 12 tournament. And then looking forward to see what their fate is on Selection Sunday. But it's nice to have something positive to talk about heading into the postseason. Texas is able to send the seniors out on a high note on Senior Day with a 16-point win over the number 3 team in the country. So anyway, for Andrew Miller at Hook'emHeadlines.com, that's pretty much it. Hook 'em.